Poor girl marries a beggar. Then he reveals a secret that shocks everyone. The church was silent. The only sound was the soft creaking of wooden pews as guests shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Their eyes weren't on the priest, not even on the bride. Every gaze was fixed on the man standing opposite her. His clothes were worn and frayed, boots scuffed from years of use, and dreadlocks tied back loosely. His face bore the lines of hardship, the kind that only comes from sleeping on the streets and facing the world with nothing but hope. Whispers rippled through the congregation. Is she really going to marry him? The bride, however, stood calm and composed. Her name was Lillian, a kind-hearted soul raised by her grandmother after a tragic car accident claimed her parents when she was just 12. She worked long hours at a small diner and lived in a modest rented room behind a laundromat. Despite her struggles, Lillian gave more than she ever received, always smiling, always kind. The man beside her? Elijah. That's all anyone knew. A drifter, a beggar. First seen sleeping behind the train station, asking for work in the marketplace. Ignored by most, except Lillian. It started 2 months ago. One cold evening after a shift, she saw him huddled outside the diner. She had a leftover sandwich in her bag. Without thinking, she offered it. Oh, her surprise. Elijah didn't take it right away. Are you sure? He asked softly. They talked for hours that night. She shared her dreams of opening a flower shop one day. He listened, really listened, like every word mattered. Over the next few weeks, Elijah kept showing up, helping carry crates, sweeping alleys, never asking for anything in return. That he was quiet, respectful. And when he finally asked her one evening, would you marry someone like me? She didn't hesitate. Yes, she said, because no one's ever treated me like you have. She thought he had nothing. And still, she said yes, that's what Elijah had been searching for. Because Elijah Ford wasn't poor. Not really. He was once the heir to a vast fortune, a billionaire's son. But after a brutal family betrayal, a messy inheritance battle, and the death of his beloved mother, he walked away from it all. He donated most of his fortune anonymously and disappeared. For 2 years, he lived as a drifter, seeking something that money could never buy. Love, real love. Not for his wealth, not for his name, but for his soul. And he found it in Lillian. She stood by him when he had nothing, or so she thought. And now, as they stood at the altar, her eyes shimmered with tears, not of fear, but of love, of faith. The priest asked them to join hands. Guests still looked on, bewildered. Some were horrified. Her distant cousins refused to stand. Her old boss shook his head in disbelief. But Lillian only saw Elijah. I now pronounce you husband and wife, the priest declared, and a few guests clapped. Most sat stunned. How could she marry a man who looked homeless? Then Elijah leaned in and whispered, there's something I need to show you. He took her hand and led her out of the church. Confused, bouquet still in hand, veil flowing, Lillian followed him to the steps outside. That's when a sleek black BMW rolled up, polished to perfection. The driver stepped out, a man in a sharp suit. Mr. Ford, he said, bowing, your father's estate has been officially transferred. Everything is ready. Lillian froze. Mr. Ford? She repeated. The man turned to her, smiling. And you must be Mrs. Ford. Welcome. She stared at Elijah, stunned. I don't understand. Elijah gently took her hand. Lillian, my real name is Elijah Ford. I was born into wealth, but I gave it up to find someone like you. She blinked, stunned. You're rich. I was poor by choice, he said, to find someone who could love me with nothing to offer, except my heart. Her hands trembled. You lied to me. I didn't lie, he said gently. I just waited to tell you the truth until I knew. He reached into his coat and pulled out an envelope. Inside was a deed to a small flower shop already purchased and registered in her name. She gasped, tears streaming down her cheeks. It's yours, Elijah whispered. Lillian's garden, where love grows. Her knees gave way. She sank onto the church steps. The guests who once judged now spilled out of the church, staring at the luxury car, the suit, the entourage. The whispers changed from shame to shock, but Elijah only looked at her. And after a long pause, she smiled through her tears. You could have told me sooner. I know, he said, but I didn't want to risk losing what I found in you. She laughed, even as she cried. That's the dumbest, sweetest thing anyone's ever done. Do you still want this? He asked, holding out his hand. Not the money, not the name, just you. She stood, taking his hand in hers, and that was enough. The guests clapped, really clapped this time. Her old boss turned red with embarrassment. Her cousins stumbled over themselves trying to congratulate them. But Lillian and Elijah just walked past them all, hand in hand. That evening, Elijah took her to the flower shop. It smelled of fresh lilies and new beginnings. The keys sat on the counter. The sign above read, Lillian's Garden, where love grows. She cried again, not for the wealth, but because for the first time, someone had truly seen her. Not for what she had or what she lacked, but for who she was. And as they stood among the flowers and soft lights, Lillian whispered, I would have loved you even if you never had a dollar. And Elijah replied, That's why you're my everything. If this story touched your heart, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more emotional and unexpected tales, and let us know in the comments. Where in the world are you watching from? We love hearing from you. Until next time, stay kind, stay curious, and keep watching.